Here is the 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid Limited in Portofino gray over black interior. The new sleek coupe style Sonata slots in against Honda and Toyota. But what it brings to the table, is it going to be better? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to go over the pros and cons and the problem that I have with the new Sonata. Starting in the front, we're going to receive 5.3 inches of clearance, and that's going to be standard across the board of all trims. We have 3 different power options, and the exterior styling can be reconfigured. If you option the inline, you'll have a more sporty front fascia. All Sonatas will have LED daytime runnings that spin across nearly the whole front, with LED daytime runnings and the new flat Hyundai badging. And underneath the hood is the 2.0 liter 4-cylinder hybrid that has a combined horsepower of 192, paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission, achieving 44 mpgs for the city, 51 mpgs for the highway, combined at 47 mpgs. The 51 for the highway is the best in class compared to Honda and Toyota. 17-inch wheels is the only configuration for the hybrid. So even if you drop to the SEL, it's not going to make a difference. You're going to have the same aero style. The lower skirt's going to flare out. And if you want the sporty style, you go into the inline, you're going to get a unique 19-inch wheel, sport-tuned suspension, turbocharged underneath the hood with the 2.5 liter with 290 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. Now, when you're thinking again for Honda and Toyota, that's not going to be an option. And you can get the SEL at a convenience package, which will give you 18-inch wheels instead of the standard 17-inch wheels that come onto that. It'll be the same 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, but it drops the horsepower to 191, which Honda and Toyota both will have more horsepower. But then when I'm thinking pricing, plus you can configure the SEL with a front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Unfortunately for the hybrid, only a front-wheel drive configuration, and getting the convenience package on the SEL will not be able to option the all-wheel drive, nor will the inline. But I like that we have 3 different options, because when you go into Honda and Toyota, you no longer have a performance family sedan. They dropped the TRD. There's no talks about a GR. Going into Honda, it shares attributes like a Volkswagen Passat. And I like that they are going the luxury style, but for a family sedan, I like that Hyundai is stepping it up, keeping that sport style. And the SEL and limited trim will get the pano moonroof as well as the inline. The optional convenience package can get it as well. And when you're thinking Toyota, you can't get that as a standard feature, but you're getting it here. So you're seeing the savings trickle in, because you have to option that, plus a 360-degree reverse camera, which is standard here. Plus, this has the side view blind spot monitoring, which the cameras on the side view mirror will project in the 12.3 digital gauge reader when you're using your indicators, making this one of the more safe vehicles. The rear, it's not going to get a trunk lid spoiler like the inline, but you're still getting a similar style that integrates into the H combination LED taillights. The lower bumper keeps a diffuser, so even going into a hybrid, you still have the most sporty style of any of the vehicles in class. And now to show you the smart parking feature on the new Hyundai Sonata Hybrid Limited. You lock it, hold the button to auto start it. Now that you see the lights flicker, that means it's on, and we're going to move the vehicle forward by using the key fob. So you can see it'll move easy between spaces. We're going to do the same thing coming backwards, all by the use of the key fob, so you don't have to actually be in the vehicle, and it won't work if you are in the vehicle, which was nice if you have like a 1-car garage or you're in Europe and you have to park it close. But in the same configuration, if you do that, how are you going to open the doors? And Hyundai goes an extra step, because they're also giving you the best warranty in class. You're getting a luxury car warranty for the powertrain, for the new car warranty, and roadside assistance. Toyota and Honda, they don't have that at all. Power liftgate going into 15.6 cubic feet. You get a storage net here, and underneath the floor, you can also split fold the rear bench in the back by pulling these tabs, and that's going to increase the cargo capacity to the hybrid. 10-way power seat adjustment for the driver, 4-way power seat adjustment for the passenger, heated and ventilated front seats, leather upholstery memory, for the driver. Headroom and leg room. The driver focus setup on the hybrid is going to have a lot more luxury, especially when you're going into the limited, because you get the heads-up display, a more soft dashboard layout with the brushed aluminum that's going to go underneath the two 12.3 informational displays, one with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming, Bluetooth audio. And you can also move this out if you could get it right. That way it'll expand out for the full screen. Put it into reverse. We have a 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear. This is the only trim that offers it with the 3D view, which means you can go all around the vehicle. You can also zoom up as well. When you click onto here, you have some different camera layouts as well for just a reverse camera, more or less, the side angles, and if you want a full reverse camera for the back. Going into dual climate control settings, which is standard. This is a touch pad, so I do like that. And another pro, because we have the ventilated seats, they add the blue arrow. When you don't have the ventilated seats, you still have the arrow, but it'll just lower the heated seats. So it's not something that's like an eyesore. USB ports, 12 volts. Wireless charging pad, and the key fob for the new hybrid Sonata. Driving mode select, which you have a total of 3 different driving modes, which this is a full 12.3 digital reader, and we have the blind spot monitor view, which means when you use your indicators, you can see the camera on either side, plus you can go through an array of information for the driver, including the turn-by-turn navigation. And if you want to change the whole configuration, you go into here, click home, slide it over into setup, go into screen layout, and now you can change the gauge cluster layout. You can also change the graphic style. Leather wrap steering wheel, it's heated, multi-function. The paddle shifts. The gear lever is now on the steering column. And it's going to be soft to touch where it needs to be. Opens up into a deep storage pocket. It is pushed back a little bit with a large pano moonroof. LED interior lights, 64 color ambient lighting, auto dimming rear view mirror, Bose upgraded sound system, soft to touch pretty much everywhere where it needs to be. One touch up and down for the front windows that are dual pane with a long storage pocket. For the back seats, headroom and leg room. Storage will be only behind the passenger seat with a net. 2 air vents, USB ports, cup holders with armrests, and manual sunshades. Door panel is going to have the same configuration that is found in the front, except the storage pocket is a little bit smaller. Sliding into the center, the floor isn't flat, and you're going to share some feet space, but leg and shoulder space is actually not too bad because the way the seats are. As for headroom, though, it becomes a little bit tight unless I scoot down a bit like this. Because of the way the headliner is carved out, it's really more or less for the side. If you scoot down, knee space starts becoming an issue. 1 more horsepower more than the base SEL or SEL with convenience. Obviously, you're not going to compete with the inline because that has 290 horsepower, which is 98 horsepower more than this, plus 311 pound-feet of torque. It's a turbocharged sports tune suspension. The list goes on. But when I'm thinking a family sedan, it's still sporty for the aesthetics. It's a sporty interior drive because of the driver focus layout, but yet you still have room. I'm liking what I'm getting as a package. It's quiet because you're not going to hear the engine on EV mode, but as soon as you kind of mash the gas pedal, it does engage, but it's a lot more quiet than the 2.5 liter. 17-inch wheels, I kind of wish that the sound deadening was a little bit more airtight, but the comfort is good because of the configuration there. I do wish that you could do some a la carte, maybe pick some features, because if you go into the SEL Hybrid, you're not going to get the heads-up display, you're not going to get the 360-degree reverse camera or the ventilated seats or the manual sunshades in the rear. And I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you go back thinking about Honda and Toyota, they don't even offer some of those. And if they do, you have to either feature it up or tick the box for a feature, which will make it a lot more money than this. Taking me to some pros and cons. And the pros have to start off with, it's still a family sedan, it's practical, you're getting great MPGs, the ride is smooth. I like that we're getting a 6-speed automatic transmission. There's nothing wrong with the ECVT transmission, it's just I'm not a huge fan of them, because the longevity for traditional transmissions typically lasts longer. And I know in the comments people will say, well, they're bulletproof. They're not as airtight as a ZF automatic transmission, but you're not getting that in this either. Now, I do like that you have the option to get a more sport drive, plus the sport tune suspension and a dual wet clutch automatic transmission, because Toyota and Honda have completely went away from the sport style for the family sedan, because you're no longer getting the 2.0 turbo on Honda. You're no longer getting a TRD, which would give you over 300 horsepower to catback exhaust, lowering the suspension. And I know it probably sounds like it's too much, but then when you're thinking pricing, those vehicles were only around 40 grand, which is what you're getting here. Now, Toyota and Honda both are more money than this, and this is actually getting better MPGs for the highway. Now, in the city, you're gonna lose a little bit, but considering I'm getting all these features and a savings, that's definitely a pro. Now, the cons have to be that there's no all-wheel drive, and the only way to configure that is on the base SEL. All of the vehicles are going to look similar, even when you're going from the SEL with the convenience or going into the hybrid trim. The only difference will be the inline, in which you'll still have a cost savings, but when you're in the mid 30 grand pricing, you might as well start looking at the hybrid, so that way you get the better MPGs, because you don't necessarily need the sport tune suspension, but then on the con for performance, this is the least in class. So that makes the inline a little bit more desirable, even though I'm getting better MPGs. The seats, though, are a lot more comfortable than any of the Sonatas in class, and it is very comparable to the Honda and Toyota, in which they have completely reconfigured them. Braking is good. Another pro is you have the rear blind spot monitoring view, which shows the camera in the gauge cluster. And you can option a digital gauge cluster going into the SEL for a few grand. So when I'm thinking, should I go inline? Well, you have an option to not do the inline and get almost all the same standard features as that. Turn radius at more or less a stop point. It's gonna be about 2 lanes. Throw it into sport mode. Let's see what she got. It's enough to keep you up with traffic. And because this is a hybrid, I probably wouldn't be driving it in sport mode too much, even though you can be engaged, because the paddle shifts will actually change the gears in this vehicle, opposed to a regenerative braking. But on the Pro, it will show you for the charging whenever you let off the gas pedal or whenever you're mashing on the brake. It'll show you that you're gaining some MPGs. Taking me to the problem that I have, will the Sonata's engine and transmission last? Because in some cases in the prior, it was a hit or a miss. And even though the vehicle is great, especially with value, these are things that have to be taken in consideration because of the longevity that you typically get with the rivals. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Gettle Hyundai of Lakewood for giving us this 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid Limited for our car review.